The last time on Pete and his bus. Welcome to another episode of Pete and his bus. Now, this time around there is not one huge job that needs doing like usual, but there are actually lots of little things that need sorting out. So I'm going to start at the top of the list, work through them, and see how far we get. And the first thing to sort out is, of course, the frame. For those of you that watched the last episode of Pete and his bus, you'll know that I didn't quite get it finished, and it was all because I didn't paint this silly corner piece. Well, I'm now going to make it catch up with the rest, and then we're going to finish installing the frame on the business side of the bus. So we do have a slight problem. It doesn't quite meet up at the end, but I had the same on my old bus and I know the solution. To solve this problem, I have grabbed an old redundant piece of bus frame which I had lying around the barn, and I'm literally going to chop a piece off of it. Now don't worry, this piece was completely bent and buckled, so it has no future value in bus restoration apart from right now. Nice. So the final piece of the advertising frame puzzle is complete. As you'll have noticed, I painted it with a little brush rather than spraying it. Same with the last corner piece. I can do that because the paint I'm using is Coach enamel, and it'll allow you to get a really good finish just with brushes. So very happy with that. The other question, of course, is still, why do I even need this small piece? It's to do with the vertical slats on the bus, and they dictate where the frame sits. But because the frame is a mixed bag from different buses, nothing quite aligned, and I ended up with this tiny space. So this is how we're going to solve it, and once in use, you will never notice the difference. Well, I can't believe how easy that was. I'll be completely honest, on this side the banners fit even easier than on the other side, because what I do is I order them slightly too large and then I can trim them so they fit nice and snug. And on this side, piece of cake. Super pleased with the result. The wheels on my bus look like 3 out of 4 of them haven't even been painted, and they're just sitting there getting corroded all by themselves. And the last one is so dirty, once I cleaned it off, I didn't realize that it was actually in the correct color, which is Indian red. Ooh, hello. Now, I'm going to have to refurb them and make them look better, and there is a couple of ways I can go about this. The first one is I could take all the wheels off the bus, I can send them to a company, they'll have them blasted, then they'll powder coat them in the correct colors, and I'll have them back looking super blingy. But if I look at the wear and tear on the wheels on my first bus, with all the salt, the grit, the dirt, rain on the road, I don't think that solution is very viable. So I've come up with my own solution, and I can guarantee that none of you are going to like it. What I am about to do to my London double-decker bus goes against every moral fibre of every bus spotter, London transport enthusiast, bus wanker, bus enthusiast, and it's going to upset them so much that they'll probably want to kill me. In fact, you could say it's so wrong, it's a bit like saying, enjoy this apple, or saying, Pamela Anderson, your breasts look really natural, or saying, wow, I really like that American V8 in your 250 GTO Ferrari. It is just wrong, but it's one hell of a solution. As soon as I started work on this wheel, it dawned on me that this is going to be quite a big job. These wheels have not been touched for decades. So rather than them being a small job to do on a big list, sadly it looks like they are kind of becoming the list. So how exactly am I going to ruin every enthusiast and purist's day? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a spray can to paint my wheels.
What the f***?
Yes, shock and awe, he's using a spray can. What the hell's he thinking?
Seriously, Beav, I need to take over this project. You suck!
This is Hammerite Direct to Rust. Now, I've used this product before, and actually, providing that you prep something properly, this paint is really easy to apply, it doesn't leave any runs, and the finish is almost as good as if I were to have these professionally painted. And the best thing about it is, after driving around in all the rubbish on the roads for a year, it only cost me 10 quid to touch the wheel up. And you know what's even worse, after all this, is that I'm not even going to paint them in the correct color. I'm going to paint them in black. Oh, mind blown. Oh my god, every purist just died up. Oh.
If any bus enthusiast or London transport enthusiast are feeling the need to talk to someone to make them feel more comfortable, please call me 0800 2-stroke 2-stroke. I feel your pain.
Well, I don't care what anybody else thinks, or what Compost says for that matter, because I think this looks pretty bloody good. All I've got to do now is repeat the process 3 times. Commercial vehicles of the age of our bus did not come with milometers. That's why no one can really tell you how many miles a bus like ours has done. And as I discuss in episode 4 of Pete and his bus, at one point there was a scientific study done, and all that proved is the fact that every single bus has done more than 2 million miles. But with law changes and rule changes, at one point the buses were fitted with a milometer and they were just on the back wheel. Now ours says it's done 250,202 miles. I don't think that's correct. In fact, you could add quite a few noughts to that and you might get close. So if I ever want to sell my bus, I'm just going to say it's low mileage and we can wind it back like that. Yeah, mate, yeah, it's a good bus that, yeah, really low mileage, mate, it's never been used. Yeah, don't know why, man, you know, it's a great bus, yeah, you should buy it, yeah. Now, whether it's a legal requirement or not, I am definitely going to keep the milometer on the back wheel of my bus. It's useful for record keeping and all that sort of stuff. Cool. But it's looking a little bit tatty, and seeing that I'm refurbing the wheels, I might as well do the actual milometer and its bracket as well. Oh yeah. So there you go, the milometer back on the bus. Now, whilst I was pretending to be a dodgy bus salesperson, I actually spun the milometer the wrong way around. And as you'll have noticed, we've now got an extra mile on the bus. It's done over 2 million. I just don't think it's going to make all that much difference. And now for the rest of the wheels on the bus. So I'm really pleased with the result on the wheels, and especially considering that I just used a spray can and I got the result that I did. I do also fully appreciate that it's not everybody's cup of tea to have them black and like this, but you've got to remember that I'm not restoring this bus to win concours prizes. I'm actually restoring it so she can go to work, and the wheels, yes, they're going to get muddy, they're going to get wet and salty and maybe even snowy, and it's really comforting for me to know that for £30 alone I can have them looking this good and fully refurbed. So really pleased with the result. The list I mentioned at the beginning of this episode with all the different things to do is vast. There are many, many more things, but the wheels took a bit longer than I thought they would, so this is about all we've got time for. But there is one significant change that happened in the barn, and this is it. A little while ago, Compo was very upset with all the buses leaving the barns, but I assured him that all these spots were going to get filled up very soon, and actually that process has already kind of started because I got a phone call from a very dear friend of mine who's got this gorgeous little coach, short wheelbase thing that's on his driveway, and he totally loves it and he wants to restore it, but it's kind of exposed to the elements outside and the condition of it is really going backwards, and so it is time to really work on rescuing it. So he asked me if he could park it in the barn whilst he does some work to it. I said, yes, of course, no problem. And I asked him a few questions. So what size is it? What's the condition? Well, the condition is proper project. When's the last time it ran? Apparently some time ago. But on the morning of us going to have a look at it, he messaged me to say that he just couldn't get it going. And to me, that is challenge accepted. So I packed some tools and I went over there, and this is what I found. So this gorgeous little coach is due for restoration. As you can tell, she's had a bit of a tough time. She's going to come live in the barn for a bit, but we're trying to get her started. So at this point I was planning to do this whole will it start, will it not, YouTube style revival, hasn't run for so many years, blah 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 blah. But it didn't quite go according to plan. We thought we'd quickly try and start it with a bit of easy start off camera, and of course it fired up straight away. Well, there we go! Believe it or not, this little coach is actually fully road legal. But Richard wasn't so keen to drive it all the way back to the barn because apparently the brakes are a little bit, shall we say, iffy. So I got in touch with CJ Gray, my friend Clive, and he organised proper transportation. The rescue mission that wasn't as much of a rescue mission that I thought it would be. but the coach made it safely to the barn, and actually double points go to Richard because, you know, all the panels are hanging off and there's cobwebs everywhere and there's dirt and dust and there's parts loose in the cab, and he just got in there, drove it like a boss, changing gear without any problems. These things are not as easy to drive as you think, so that was really cool to see. So you'll see it in the background from now on, and hopefully Richard can make good progress with his restoration. So there we go, a few more bits done on the bus. I'm sorry that I didn't get more done on the list this time around, but those wheels actually took quite a lot of time and effort. There's also a lot of stuff going on off camera. A lot of you have expressed interest in buying some Pete and his Bus merchandise. I welcome this idea. I've just got to sort out my online shop and the actual merch itself, and it all takes a lot of time to get it right. So that's in the pipeline, and keep your eyes peeled for that. And on top of all of that, of course, the phone has been ringing off the hook for my first bus, so it looks like we might have some sort of a normal year in the events industry. Fingers crossed. I thank you all, per usual, for watching, and I'll see you soon on Pete and his Bus. So some of you will have noticed we use a drone to film me driving around in the barn. This is actually the drone flying in the barn. And my friend Tom has just bought it, and he's not got that much experience yet. And that's why he crashes it. Here comes. Oh! But luckily for him, the drone's amazing, and it actually recovered. So no drones were hurt in the filming of Pete and his Bus.